Hey guys, my name is Xavier. Welcome to my channel. Here I have my grandmother with me.
Hi, I'm Margo.
And we're going to talk about grit. What was the worst thing that happened to you and how did you overcome it?
You were little and you were in the car about 4 or 5 years old with your cousin who was a couple of years older than you and my mother. And you were waiting for me and I couldn't get the garage door opener to work right. So I went in the house and I put the garage door down and I decided I'd go out through the back. So I went out through the back, shut the door and locked it, and went over to the gate to come out to the car where you all were. But the gate was locked. And I didn't know what to do, and I yelled for several minutes, and no one came. So I climbed the fence, and I sat up at the top, and I thought, can I really jump this far? And I thought, I'm sure I can. So I jumped, my ankle snapped, and it moved about this far away from my leg. So I crawled to the car, and when I got close enough, I took my shoe off and threw it at the car, and my mother heard it and got out and called your Uncle Nate to come and get me. And we went to the hospital, and I had my first surgery where they put my leg, all the pieces back in order, and put a soft cast on it.
Wow. From a scale from 1 to 10, how did you feel?
I felt probably like I really did know what a 10 was because it was excruciating pain.
So how did you get back home to Casper?
Well, I couldn't walk, of course, and so they carried me to the airplane, and I crawled up the steps and I crawled down the aisle, and then the pilots lifted me into my seat. So we flew home, and I called an orthopedic surgeon that is a friend of mine, Dr. Bailey, and I went in to see him the next day. And there was a terrible surprise when they took the cast off.
What's the surprise?
When they took it off, the cast, to look at it, it had big blood blisters about the size of hot dogs. There were like 8 of them going clear around my ankle. But because those blood blisters were all around my ankle, they couldn't operate right away. They had to let them heal some. So they drilled a hole right here in this big bone that runs up your leg. And then they drilled a rod clear through my heel that was about the size of a pencil, and it stuck out about this far on each side of my foot. And then they put something called an external fixator on it. And that pulled all my bones apart. It was about this big and it was metal. And it pulled all my bones apart so they would heal in the right place, because it took me almost a full year to recover. Most all of the bones in my foot were broken, and I had shattered my tibia. And so it was in clunky pieces and they couldn't screw it back together. So they had to put plates in my ankle up my leg to hold that all in place and attach it to bones that were good. And the first 3 months when I was recovering, I was on heavy pain medicine that made me sleep a whole lot. But I can remember one day when I had that external fixator on my leg, I sat in bed and cried. And then I thought, it doesn't do you any good to cry about it. You just need to do what you need to do to get better. And when I was in therapy, there was a woman who came in, and in a wheelchair too, and she had been riding a motorcycle with her husband, and they came over a hill, and there was a truck on the wrong side of the road, and her husband was killed, and she broke 64 bones. That was also a time when I said to myself, you should never pity yourself. There are always people who have it worse than you do. My friends brought me food all the time, big meals for our families. And one of them said to me, I wonder how God will use this to make your life better. But you know, she was right, because now I am much more aware of people with handicaps and that they need help. And it made me more humble, because I couldn't do everything by myself. I had to ask for help sometimes. And that's part of being strong, to know when you have to ask for help. The other thing that happened is that I got to thinking about my childhood and what a wonderful childhood I'd had growing up on a farm in Iowa. And I decided that there was a story my father told me and lots of other children about a badger and a mother pig. And I thought how cool it would be if I could write that story down and bind it in a book. So I got this story all together, but I began writing children's books. And I am just about to have my 6th children's book published. That's true grit. When you do something you have to do, you overcome a situation and you go ahead and make the best of it. And so that's what I've done. I still have a sore ankle. It doesn't bend very well, but you know what? I don't have to be in a wheelchair, and I don't even have to use a cane. I can actually walk. And so I am thankful for that, because you realize everyone has troubles and you have to have grit to face those troubles and get through them. Did I answer all your questions?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for letting me tell you my story.
And I was thinking maybe I should publish a book someday.
I think you should.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you really like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, subscribe to my channel for more videos. Bye. See you in the next video.